Tiny Epic Zombies. This is a recent installment in the Tiny Epic family by Gambling Games. And this time we have Tiny Epic. Well, we had kingdoms, we had galaxies. Those things really give you a sense of epic. This time we have zombies. Maybe the epic label is not as appropriate because the game takes place in a mall, as we have in so many zombie stories, especially zombie movies. But still, this way we can recognize the game as belonging to a family of games that come in small boxes but have a lot of game in them. These are not little fillers, these are bona fide big games in a small package. There is something epic about this game though, which is the meeples. Yes, these meeples are quite unusual. They look at first sight as normal meeples, but as you may notice, there are little holes in them there. Why? Because this time, when the character represented by a meeple finds a weapon, not only do you have a card that indicates the weapon owned by the character, but you can actually equip the weapons on the meeples. And now when you have a zombie hunting meeple with actually a shotgun and a crossbow, maybe that does count as epic. The meeple may also be riding a motorcycle, so that there may be some epic element in there. Without further ado, let me show you how the game works. The game can be played in several modes. You can have all players but one working cooperatively as a team against that one player who controls the zombies. It can be fully cooperative, all players play together against an AI-controlled zombie player. Competitive, fully competitive, then all players work against each other as humans against an AI-controlled zombie player. So many ways of playing the game. What I'm going to show you in this video is mainly what seems to be the standard mode, the one described as the main one in the rulebook, which is all players but one playing as the humans and that one player controlling the zombies. Now, some starting concepts. All humans will have a survivor represented by a card such as this one, large variety of different characters to choose from. Once you choose your survivor, or you assign them randomly, or you assign players a range of 3 and they choose which one they want to keep, you will place a wound token there. Also, the color of the wound token indicates the meeple that you have, so orange with orange, for example, or say green with green. So you'll place a wound marker in the 0 position of that track on top of your character, and you place a bullet marker there. As you take wounds, this marker goes up. As you spend bullets, this marker goes down. If they ever reach the same space of they cross each other, that character is dead, unfortunately, and will become a zombie. The back side of each card shows you what the character becomes when zombified. And at the beginning of the game, the zombie player will receive a zombie already. When the humans die, the card is given to the zombie player that flips it face down, face up on the other side. It's all relative. And then when you have a zombie card, you also place a marker there in the bottom spot of that track. That means that the zombie player will already start with 1 and may acquire more. During the game, basically the zombie player will try to activate her horde ability as many times as possible. When activating that ability, the player simply performs the action described here and moves the marker by 1, so that means that next time the horde ability is activated, the player gets to use that one, and so on and so forth. And remember, the zombie player may have multiple of these zombies, so in that case, the multiplayer can choose which card to use each time the special ability is activated. Each zombie also has a passive ability that always applies. Now, also, all characters have special, unique abilities that, again, may be passive, maybe special actions. There is a large variety there. Then we have the missions, or the objectives. During the game, the players are trying to complete 3 objectives. These cards are shuffled, 3 of them are chosen randomly. Also, each objective has a cooperative side and a competitive side. And players, the humans will win the game if they're able to complete the 3 objectives for that game before one of the several things that will make them lose the game happens. And for example, here there's a player that will have a token representing a radio. The player goes around the mall trying to collect frequency cards to call the CDC. This is almost like playing Clue in a zombie-infested mall. There are these 5 markers. They're shuffled face down at the beginning of the game. One is placed here. The other 4 are placed face down on the board. And players are trying to guess which of these 5 is that marker. And so they're going around and flipping the other markers. So by exclusion, if you want to play it safe, you flip 4 so you know for sure which is the 5th one. Otherwise, you can try to guess, but there are penalties. So different things that you do as you go around the mall and you try to do things. The human players, again, win by completing the 3 objectives that are selected randomly for the present game. The zombie player wins by, well, one of several ways. One way is there will be a search deck that is made of cards representing valuable resources, but also possible events. The deck will be formed out of 24 cards from this deck here. There's a procedure to do, so I'm not gonna get into details with that, but there will be, trust me, a deck of some 24 cards that will also act as the countdown clock. At the end of each player's turn, a card is used. When the deck runs out, each human player gets 1 more turn. If at that point they have not completed the 3 objectives, then the zombie player wins the game. So a zombie player can simply win by preventing the humans from completing their objectives for long enough. Also, the human players have a number of survivor tokens. When a human character dies, we said when a human character dies, the card is assigned to the zombie player. Also, you remove a survivor token, and the player now can choose another card. So characters can be eliminated, but players do not. Basically, the player will simply become another survivor now. But each time, again, a character dies, you lose one of these tokens. If you lose one of those tokens and a character survives, that is, you will need a new character and you don't have one, you don't have a survivor token, the zombie player wins the game. Also, you see there is a barricade track there. It starts at 2. Each time that the zombies attack the courtyard, which is the central card, the barricade marker goes down by 1. If it reaches 0, the players, again, will have to spend one of these tokens that are in there at the beginning of the game. If the barricade marker reaches 0 and there are no survivor tokens to spend, the zombie player, again, wins the game. Speaking of the mall, here you have the courtyard, which is the central area. It counts as 5 areas. There's a central one, and then you may see them, I think, those 4 thin areas around it. So there would be 1 area, 2 areas, there's another area, there's another area, there's another area within the courtyard. And then you have these 9 other cards. There's double-sided, so you shuffle them and you place them randomly around the courtyard, also randomly deciding which side, so you will have a mall that will be different from time to time, and then different rooms, so different cards, different sides of the cards will have different abilities. For example, there will be one that always has a vehicle, so on this side we have the motorcycle, flipped on the other side we will place the police car instead. Different cards have different abilities again. Each card represents a store. Each store is divided in 3 rooms, as you can see, and the rooms are numbered with very small green numbers from 1 to 3. 1, for example, 2, and 3. Another important thing is that as long as 2 rooms share an edge, like in this case, they count as adjacent, and humans, yes, and humans can move from one to the other. You can imagine that they're moving through a breach, through a hole in the wall. Of course, you can also move through open doors, but to move from one store to the other, you're pretty much walking through what appear to be solid walls. Each player's turn, the human player will activate, and then, well, we'll see what the zombie player can do. Now, here's the golden rule of the game, and it may lead to some slightly gamey tip-tapping. the player, the active player, when activated, must, the dimension must move 3 times. And after moving, and only after moving, the player can perform actions. And the actions that are available depend on the circumstances. Also, there will be zombies on the mall. I thought I would change to mention that. Now, so you must move 3 times to an adjacent room. One of the strange things is, so for example, if you start your move in a room that has a zombie, you cannot do anything with that zombie. You must first move, and then, again, depending on where you are and what's there, you can do different things. Now, after you move, if you are in a room that contains a zombie, you can attack that zombie using melee. To do so, you roll the melee die. Now, when you declare a melee attack, you will always remove the zombie. You roll the die simply to see if something else happens. If you roll this symbol, then you kill the zombie and you get an extra free move. Here you gain 2 wounds, 1 wound, and here no additional effect. You may also, after you move, be in a room that is adjacent to a zombie, like in this case, and you can then choose to use a range attack. So you simply spend a bullet from your card and you remove the zombie without any further effect. So those are the options for killing zombies. If you are in a store that doesn't have any zombies, then you can also interact with the room in which you are. Some rooms have passive abilities such as this one. Some rooms have tokens that you can pick up. For example, now I could choose by moving to that room and the store is empty. Remember, a store is empty when all 3 rooms on that card are empty. I can choose to perform this action, which is to pick up supplies. I put them on my player's card, and then I can drop off supplies later in the courtyard that will increase my barricade level, and also I can then draw a card that may give me valuable weapons, valuable things. I like that. The idea is I pick up supplies, so I use the wood for the barricade and the content of the crate for the item. After I do so, I place the token back there because it's not that magically teleports there. That token represents one of many crates that are to be found there. Other thing that I can do, there will be, during the game, cards, again, representing supplies, representing different things, that will be placed next to the stores. We'll see how that works. If I am movement in a store that has cards adjacent to it, I can choose to pick up any and all of them and add them to my personal collection. With some restrictions, I can only have 1 melee weapon, I can only have 1 range weapon, that sort of thing. So this is the general idea. I'm moving around, and again, another thing I can also do is to interact with various tokens related to the objectives that I'm trying to complete. So I go around, I try to kill zombies and to acquire resources and protect my barricade and create a situation in which I'll be able to complete my objectives. After, as the active player, I'm done, I need to reveal a card. Where that card comes from depends on the mode. If you're playing fully cooperative, then you simply draw it. If you're playing against a human zombie player, there will be a card in your play area that you have from the previous turn. Because you will reveal a card that is there, and after you do so, the zombie player will give you the card that you will use next turn. So a zombie player has a hand of cards, and the zombie player decides which card to give you and which card you will reveal. When you reveal the card the zombie player gave you the previous turn, first thing you look at the symbol in the top left corner. Each store has a symbol, and in fact there are 2 stores with each type of symbol. For example, that one would be the same as this one. You look at the symbol, and this store has that symbol. If the symbol matches, suppose that we are here and we are revealing this card, the symbol on the card that I revealed matches the one in the store, then the zombie player gets to use their horde ability. Remember that one? Use the ability, go up by 1. with multiple cards, choose which zombie ability to use. That only if the reveal card matches the symbol of the store. Then, after that, in any case, whether it matched or not, the zombie player gets to add 2 zombies to the board. They can be added both in one store with that symbol, or, since there are 2 rooms per symbol, 1 in each of the 2 rooms of the 2 stores. Suppose that the zombie player decides to add 2 zombies to this store here. You always add them starting from the lowest numbered room that is empty, devoid of zombies. When you add a zombie, if you add a zombie and you add one to a room with a human, the human character takes a 1. If the store is full and you will need to add one, then you add it. If you're in a corner store, then you add it to the next available room in clockwise order. So in this case, I would add it to the next store in clockwise order. So in this case, instead of adding it here, because it's full, I would add it to this one. And suppose that this is the situation, then the next room that is lowest number is that one. If you have not a corner store, but a store that is directly adjacent to the courtyard, and you will need to add a zombie, and you can't because the rooms are already full, then instead of adding a 4th zombie to a store, you would simply attack the barricade and reduce the barricade by 1. So again, when the corner stores are empty, zombies overflow in the adjacent stores, the ones adjacent to the courtyard. When the adjacent stores are full and the overflow, they attack the barricade instead. And that's how you damage the barricade. So this in general is how you play Tiny Epic Zombies in its main everybody against a single player mode. I like this game quite a bit, and so does my group. We played it with different modes several times, and we enjoyed them in different ways, of course. We found that when everybody's cooperating against the zombie player, either is cooperative versus a human player or fully cooperative against the AI, it seemed that the zombies were not all that strong. The zombies were having a hard time really causing a sense of dread and threat. But if you experience that, maybe you're just amazingly good, as we are. We're just naturals at this game. But of course, there are ways in which you can increase the complexity, give multiple zombie cards to the zombies to start with. Each time a horde ability is activated on both cards instead of only one. That should make things harder. Start with a higher on the horde ability. So there are just different ways in which you can make the zombies tougher if that seems to be something that you want to do. Maybe your group will need that. Of course, if you're playing fully competitive, then it doesn't matter if the zombies are all that hard or not as threatening or more threatening, because it's still a matter of a parallel race in which different players are running around and try to complete their objectives individually. In general, I really like the engine. I like the production values. This is a game that really looks good and really feels thematic, and that's rather impressive when you think that this is a game that is in such a tiny box. But this is something that I came to expect from this publisher, because that really is the hallmark of their Tiny Epic games. Great production values, very thematic games, and games that are very, very approachable. They're definitely not complicated to play. And yet, again, they're not fillers, they are bona fide games. Pretty much we spend the whole game night playing Tiny Epic Zombies by itself in various configurations, in various variants. You can have again, not a filler, but the main course of the game night may be this one, although it may take you about an hour to play, 45 minutes, depending on how familiar people are with the rules. And the game is really good. Again, as I hinted at in the main segment, movement sometimes does feel a little gamey. Sometimes you do feel like, but the zombie's here, I want to kill the zombie. Why do I have to move to the next room and maybe shoot at another zombie somewhere else? I guess I could move out and shoot at the zombie because I'm so freaked out. But on the other hand, if the zombie inflicted a wound on me, maybe I should have the option of doing melee. For clarity, so that the rules don't become too complicated, of course, it's just much easier if you stipulate first move, then do something. But sometimes you'll find yourself moving back and forth into rooms because maybe you do want to attack that zombie with a bullet because of whatever reason. Then I walk out and I'm like, wait a second, no, I forgot to do melee. And then I walk in and I can then perform melee. There are these moments in which the theme glitches a little bit. You can see the role, the mechanics of the rules through the theme, but those are minor moments. In general, I like the challenge that you have, well, in completing all the objectives and being able, of course, to keep the zombies at bay. So I'm trying to complete an objective, but I also need to make sure that I strengthen the barricade, that I kill enough zombies, that I not just I kill every zombie, which would be great to clean up at least to clean up a store, to be able to do something there, but I'm trying to budget my zombies to make it in such a way that if they're added to a store, they're not going to overflow, they're not going to hit my barricades. Removing all the zombies is not gonna happen. They completely cleared the board, so what you're doing is zombie management. It's a game of zombie management or zombie reduction, skillful planned zombie reduction. If you're the zombie player, it may look at the beginning like you're not doing much, but you still have interesting decisions. In particular, you're trying to guess where the active play will be next turn, because you're giving them a card that you hope will match, so that maximizes your abilities. And then you're simply shamefully sitting there and listening to the other player's plan. Now, there's this interesting element. In cooperative games, you have open cooperation. Here, the actual human players may want to be indirect, not to let the zombie player exactly know, well, I'm gonna go and get that marker because, well, then I can place a card that will match that one. Or maybe they're bluffing. So you have this interesting element in which the human players are actually trying to bluff a little bit. They cannot fully cooperate or openly cooperate, because then they're giving information to the zombie player. There are interesting elements there. But in general, it seems to me that the zombie players as a hard task. But the point I wanted to make is that the zombie player may have a hard task, but it's not a boring one, because trying to guess where the human players will be, deciding where to concentrate zombies, deciding how to use your special abilities, those are all good and fun things. I like the enormous replay value that you have from different configurations of the mall, different survivors that will be used, different objectives, different zombies, considering the zombie powers. Then you really have a lot more than meets the eye when you look at that small box. There really is a lot of game in here. In general, Tiny Epic Zombies gets a high endorsement from me. We had a really good time playing it, and it's just a game that can give you a lot thanks to this replay value, which wouldn't be all that much if the play wasn't good, but on top of that, play is fun. A little gaming from time to time, but still strong, solid gameplay and a lot of replay value. Tiny Epic Zombies, we had a good time playing it.